I'm thinking about sexual energies and what their flow is like in us and through us, what their cycle is, how it moves. Today I feel charged with sexual energy, just charged. And I'm realizing that this charge of sexual energy is also that which caused me to seek a discharge, to be urged for a discharge, to itch for a discharging. I'm in a way that I'm looking to put the sexual energy somewhere, to move it out, like a like it's like it's overloading my body. It feels like it's overloading my body. I need to put it somewhere. And then comes either masturbation, where the physical energy is like output. Well, not necessarily masturbation, sex. Ejaculation. It is a discharge. Just put it in and put the energy somewhere else because it's powerful. And I'm realizing also at the emotional level it happens. There are times when I feel that I want comfort, I want emotional comfort and company. And when these sexual energies are active, I realize I am drawn to a woman or to different women, and my urge is to give them my care. Yes, this doesn't always feel like sexual energies, though it does seem analogous. Like on the physical level, when there are raw primal sexual desires, sexual charge, simply sexual charge, the instinct of feeling overloaded and wanting to discharge takes place is ejaculation in the male body. I feel in the emotional body at times also I just feel care and I'm not sure where to put it, and then I'm looking for a recipient. I'm looking for whom can I take care of, whom can I pour this attention, this energy into, so that I can, and they can also do that same to me. It's like a seeking of the recipient. The cycle, what I feel is me, this male body, its sexual charge rises, bubbles, fizzes when close to a woman, when interacting with that woman, when there is touch, when there is a little smile, some understanding, some resonance between a woman and me, my sexual charge rises. And I feel that in the past, I interpreted that rising of the sexual energy as I want her. As I want her, and I want her to be my partner, either sexually or romantically or lively, any level I interpret it. But the idea is, because what I feel comes from being close to her, I feel that what is it, like the solution? What is the problem? There is no problem. Sexual charge rises, and then I have sexual charge in my body, and then what my being likely looks for is, well, what do we do with this energy? It's coming in. Well, does it have an outflow? Does it have an outflow? And there are several ways to express this outflow. I can see the basic. A lot of light, a lot of glare. The basic outflow would be sex. It would be sex. Okay, I have sexual charge in me. Where do I put it? Oh, woman, you come. And then out, sex, out. And that sexual charge that I had accumulated, I can give it to her. Give it back. There it goes. And there's a lot of associated pleasure and joy, and then easily interpretations come, and we believe, oh, this means partnership, this means association, this means solidify the relationship and maybe get married and may also natural interpretations. But what I mean is the outflow is just I didn't know what to put the sexual charge. Overflow. Out into sex. If it happens to sublime or to resonate perhaps at the emotional level, then it's the emotions that want to give it to her. There's so much devotion in this world I've seen that are from these romantic interpretations. That, she makes me feel that way. Oh, then I will be forever for you. I will take care of you forever. There's the forever. There's the I will take care of you, and what is it? I'll be watching you. Is that from the Police? The music band. I'll be watching you, or I'd do anything for you. That's not even a song. Do anything for you, for love, but I won't do that. All of these emotional, romantic expressions, they are offering the emotional devotion, the emotional care, the emotional energy into that object, the woman, from the case of the male, of the woman that helps rise this charge in my body, in my emotional body. So perhaps it's like there, and it's feeling, okay, where do I go? and the urge is to give back, to it's like it's the natural answer. Okay, it goes over here. The easiest way to close the cycle is to go back, like, yeah, charge is initiated, and then when felt like, it is outflowed back, it is ejaculated. And whether that be our our sex, our physical lust of the body, or more somewhat sublimer romantic interest and care and love and devotion, and say, I will take care of you, I will take care of you. Or you're everything to me, or those songs, poems, books, entire books written about love. I don't mean the concept, the abstract concept of love, but of these romantic interests of like, just let me express to you how much you mean to me. It's an emotional urge to close the cycle, to finding outflow. What I've been finding recently is that one can be sexually charged, as I feel right now. And I clench on my perineum, and I feel waves of vibrations come up from my butt, up through the skin of my gluteus, up through my lower back, and they kind of go up over to the front in a curved, symmetrical shape around my waist, and then it rises up here in the solar plexus. I feel these vibrations come up. And I remembered this exercise and technique that people talk about, where one pulls one's sexual energy from the base of the spine and it can go to the rest of the body. And as I practice and experiment with this technique, I do feel how the sexual charge, the charge changes in my body. It can be at first very concentrated on the sex, on the right along my perineum, my prostate. I can feel it by feeling that it's very sensitive. It's pleasurable sensitive. It's like I touch it and it's almost asking to continue, to have me continue touching it. And as I feel energies move up higher, along my back, along my spine, I can feel the sensitivity, the concentration of energy in my sex, it diminishes. it dilutes somewhat. My feeling is that the flow of energy truly is going up my body, and my sex is left more at peace. It's not urgently needing a hole to insert itself into. It's like it was like, and then with the flow of energy, and then it's just there, and it's still sensitive. It's more sensitive than if I were discharged. But it doesn't demand that I that I let the energy go, as it usually does. Like when it's concentrated in my sex, my penis is super aroused. It's up all the way, and my balls are like come up into my skin. Everything is tight and everything's just like ready to put it in the right hole. It's like all the energy is there. There's a physical asking to put it there. And then when I pull the energies up, my erection softens. And I feel somewhat more dense in my thorax, and somewhat more dense in my forehead, in my face. Dense. As if the energy were there now. Tingling on my skin. And my sex continues to tingle. And it feels good. There's pleasure. There is no urgency. There is no urgency of the body saying, please ejaculate, please masturbate, please release me now. It's just it's just charged. Yeah, I just gave a massage to my housemate, and when I was touching her shoulders and her neck, I could feel her softness, and my sexual energy rose. And by pulling up this energy that I felt, I was able to give her a full massage without me actually making plans in my subconscious on how to have sex with her. but it was just an enjoyment of the massage and the rising of sexual energies. And spreading of that energy upwards. And a sensitivity arises in me from that. And so it was sensual and it was pleasant. And it requires discipline. And yet it's stable. It's sustainable. It's a sustainable flow. At times in the past, I have felt sexually aroused, and I've felt that the only two possibilities for me are to ejaculate or to hold it and try to forget about it. And try to push it down so that I can continue doing whatever I actually want to do instead of ejaculating. Those are not the only two options. There is also the option of pulling the energy upwards into the body and feeling what that does. This whole talk arose because what I wanted to talk about was how it seems to me that as a man I approach a woman and there is a resonance. What that seems to me is that there was when a man and a woman are together, they have a voltage difference of sexual energy, sex voltage. She has a certain sex voltage, I have a certain sex voltage, and then because they're different when they're together, then there's a possibility of transfer of energy. And when there is a resonance between the people, then there's likely a channel between these two, between this differential, and that's when when things start moving. Our sexual energies begin moving. Some differential begins to flow into each other, the sides. And I would say that that's what feels like sexual arousal. Like this movement, this flow that's moving through me. Like women have the electrons, and then the flow starts coming in, and I have all the electrons. Like I begin to get charged with electrons, and I try to figure out, where do I put all these electrons? Sex electrons, sex electrons, sex charge. And then when I had a sex charge, they're in my sex. That's where it likely resonates into. And that's the entry point. Then we have the choice. What do we want to do with that outflow? My feeling is that the primal, the most primitive urge, the basest urge. The basest urge is to, okay, there's resonance here in the sex zone. Close the cycle right here. There's an urgency to complete a cycle, to find an outflow for that flow. Where do I find it? Where do I find it? And well, the simplest cycle is to just bring it back. So there's a flow from the woman to the man, and then there's charge. What do we do with this charge? Connect it back, which means actually in our physical manifestation, and then the energy differential is closed. The circuit is closed. So there is satisfaction, catharsis, words. If sex is somewhat, if the act of sex is perhaps restrained, then perhaps the next available level at which one can complete the cycle, perhaps it comes out through the charge comes in through sex with sexual arousal, and then if one for some reason does not want or does not think it's possible to close the cycle at the physical level, then perhaps it can go into the emotional level and want to throw romance at her. And say, okay, I'm gonna go sexual arousal, I'm gonna need you, and I'm gonna want to give you romance. There's like an urge to complete the cycle. Whether it be through sex or through romance. And of course, when there is romance and when the cycle gets completed through romance, well, it continues to allow sex, because then at some point people say, well, there's no necessity there's no need to restrain sex anymore, and then cycle can get completed on both levels. Cycles. It's a cycle. It's a graph. If sexual arousal happens at the physical sexual level, that's where the flow comes. It need no longer, for me, it need no longer be a question of of whether to have sex directly or not, and to suffer by having this imbalance between us. What I recently discovered, and followed also from what other people say, is that one can just take this energy and charge oneself with it. Now, I don't know where does the outflow actually go afterwards to. Like eventually doesn't it get filled up? A lot. Although if that's a dynamic that is happening in my body, I believe that the higher levels, higher than physical levels, they seem to hold a lot more energy, to have more capacity for the sexual energy. I hypothesize. Because I find stability. I find peace. I find peace by doing this. Whereas before, sexual arousal meant I would have an itch that I could either scratch or restrain myself from scratching. It was like either one or the other. Either I must scratch, please, or I must not scratch. I will not think about it. Not think about it. Not think about it. There is also the possibility of moving that itch. And then when moving it, it's not an itch anymore, it's a charge. It's just a charge I feel on the back of my lower thorax, on my forehead, on my expression. I wonder, I notice that my expression is clear, not on a mental level, not as saying, oh, I know exactly which word I'm going to say, but rather as I know exactly the message I am attempting to transmit. It is clear what I want to express inside of me. And I continue expressing even when my mind is shrugging its shoulders and thinking, okay, whatever, you do what you want, because I don't understand this anymore. Like it allows it. My expression feels clear. It's not just clear, like fuller. Like it's coming from a place with truth. It just feels like instead of just focusing on the fruit, I can feel the entire path of the twigs that hold it and the branch that holds it and the larger branches up down to the trunk and then down. I can feel that down at least until the trunk. Of knowing, yeah, this is the truth that I have inside that I want to say. And it seems to fill up my body. I seem to charge myself with sexual energy. takes discipline. To feel a large amount of concentrated sexual energy and not repress it, feel it fully. And trust that one can move it, that one can change it, that it's not this unavoidable sexual arousal and erection that I used to think it was. Where I could only ejaculate or forget about it. But rather, knowing that one can move it. It requires trust that it can happen. Because otherwise one continues to keep a fear there. The fear of, well, further discomfort. The fear of pain, of no, what am I gonna do with all the sexuality? It's so hard, it's so hard, I don't have nowhere to put it. Having the trust to know that it can move. It requires seeing the fears, accepting them, and continuing. I wonder whether my voice is actually getting recorded well, since I am so far away from the phone. There seems to be more space, more capacity for sexual energy. In our higher levels. If it is so, my sex is analogous to a bucket. It gets filled up from the world. And then once it needs to be placed, to have that water be placed somewhere else, because otherwise it will just spill over. It is so much what's being felt. These are our bodies. like to explore what mind can be.